Honesty is the best policy. Right? Truth will set you free. Man is only as good as his word. So none of these cliches really seem to ring true anymore. That this idea that like I said, like a man's only as good as his word doesn't really seem to apply anymore. That the value of honesty has taken a pretty big hit in society over the last few decades, probably. Lots of people, for the probably the majority of people, kind of go back on their word at the earliest inconvenience. That they may not intend to be dishonest, but rarely does someone's word stand up to any sort of like I said, like any kind of challenge or anything. Like something comes up, then it's just I just said I'd do it, but it doesn't really. I don't have a signed contract or anything, so there's nothing to hold me to it. So yes, but if we really don't take the time to think about it and think, like, how much better would our lives be if we could really just rely on people to keep their word, or if people could rely on us? Of course, you're a lawyer, then a lot of lawyers would be out of jobs if we were able to just work on a honor-based system instead of needing contracts for everything. But to be honest, like, it's hard to, being honest and like putting your word and understanding that, letting other people be able to rely on you even when it's inconvenient for you. Like, it's not as easy to make a logical case for why putting someone else's needs above your own just because you said you would it's not the easiest case to make without to make a logical case for it. But I think if we want to take the time to think about it, we can make a much better world for everybody if we were able to do that. So we have to take the time to imagine a world where we'd be able to rely on people to keep their word. We wouldn't need contracts in order to enforce an agreement with somebody. We could just trust that someone says they're going to do something, they're going to do it. We could trust that other people could trust us that we're going to do something when we say they're going to do it, that we say we're going to do it, even if it means that it's not convenient for us, that it means sacrifice from us, that means putting someone else's needs above our own. Seems like it might be some kind of weird utopia kind of world, I guess, that everyone can just listen and get along and agree and work together and cooperate with each other for everyone else's best interest, including your own. Because if we can trust that other people could do that, then obviously we'd be able to do the same for others, understanding that would be something reciprocal. But obviously we don't live in a world where we can actually trust that other people are going to do the same thing. So if we are the ones that are being honest and putting ourselves out there, then it's going to start to, obviously at times we're going to get taken advantage of, or it's going to be hard to, I guess, continue to do that if we feel that we're at some kind of disadvantage because the rest of the world's operating on a different kind of moral system than we are, and that can seem like it's putting us at a disadvantage. But at the same time, like, we all have to admit that the only way that the things can change is if it starts with some real men stepping up and real women stepping up and deciding that we're no longer going to just accept the status quo of deceiving people and being dishonest with each other, that we need to come to a point where we can, I guess, kind of understand each other and be able to, it takes a few people starting in order for it to begin to catch some momentum and begin to actually make a real change. So where do you start on a path like this? Well, obviously first you need to be honest with yourself, which often can be the most difficult thing to start with, that we need to be able to see ourselves and, I guess, recognize where our own flaws are and be able to address those. To be able to recognize our feelings and understanding the issues within ourselves. to take some time, reflect on things, and perhaps even get some outside opinions on areas where we need to grow and improve ourselves. Sometimes even with some real reflection, it's hard to identify the areas where we need attention, and sometimes it might take having people around you that you can trust to be open and honest with you, like some actual real friends that care about you and want to see you grow, to help you identify areas where you need to grow. Sometimes it might even take help from, professional therapist or counselor, someone that's trained to help in more serious situations. So next, you need to start being honest with the people who are closest to you, which is probably the next most difficult thing to do. Understanding that sometimes that honesty can put strains on relationships, and obviously the real relationships, the ones that are really important, are going to be the ones that can survive that test and survive that stress. And understanding that sometimes, even if it may cause temporary problems in those relationships, that for people who truly want to have a relationship with you, that they'll be able to receive that honesty and also be honest with you as well. And then finally, being honest with those who aren't necessarily close to you, with those you might just interact with at work or on the street, like being able to, especially, depending on your job, like there's a lot of workplaces where being radically honest can be a major disadvantage, where at times taking advantage of others is going to help you along your career path. But taking, if we want to really commit to this idea of being honest and being, kind of manning up and growing up and developing those character traits that help us become the men that we want to be, then taking the step of, sometimes where it might put us at a disadvantage, where it might be harder to develop in a career, or might make outside relationships more difficult, that we have to continue to trust that ultimately it's going to be worth it, even if there may be times where it's going to be a disadvantage. That the only way that we can really grow as a society, if we all begin to make those choices, and that as people begin to feel they can trust and rely on us, and they can begin to do the same, be honest with us, and begin to behave the same way, so that we can begin to see real change in society, that we can begin to see revolution. But it's going to take a few people taking those difficult steps in order to get to that point too. So just an encouragement for you guys to begin on that journey. Like I said, start by being honest with yourself, reflecting on areas where you need to grow, being honest with those closest to you, and then of course also being honest with the other people you interact with during the day, and understanding that at times it may be difficult, you may feel like you're at a disadvantage, that it's not going to be worth it, but that in the long run it will be for you. And then especially as we begin to see, as more people begin to behave this way, that we can begin to see general change in our society and growth, and so that we can begin to see a more, fair and honest society as well. But it all starts with a few people beginning to take that step to making those difficult changes, and understand, taking that leap to, even if it means you might be at a disadvantage sometimes, to not taking the easy way out, because there's easy way is almost never the right way to go. Right, thanks for checking out the Manning Up YouTube channel. If you want to engage with us more, you can check out our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter accounts. Links are going to be in the comments below. If you want to find ways to financially support what we're doing and equipping men to become the best men they can be, you can check out our page and Patreon for ways to support us through that. Thanks guys, and see you next time.